Hi folks, a pleasant evening to you all. Just came off the road. I think my face looks a little sweaty. Should have gotten a piece of napkin. But anyhow, how are you folks? How you all doing? So today is Saturday evening and I'm here for us to do a bit more reading. Yeah, the table here is all messy. I've been here trying to sort out some papers, documents some morning, looking for some receipts that I had. So it's a bit unorganized at the moment, but it's what it is. So I hope you're all having a beautiful and awesome Saturday evening. Here the weather is bleak, but we had rain yesterday. I thought we would have had rain today, but with all this said and done, we're happy for the rain. Because when it gets hot and dry, and I know a lot of persons want water in the tanks, the farmers need it for the crops, so we're always happy for the rain. Alright, so without further ado, I'm going to get right into it. Right into it. I'm not going to chat you out. Just going to get right into it. So, let me introduce back the book. The name of the book is... Where's so much fuss get on this book? Seriously? So the name of the book is Flowers in the Attic. Flowers in the Attic. And it's written by Virginia Andrews and narrated by me, Karen Weir. I don't know, my book is a bit fuzzy, not sure why. Got some dust on it. Alright, so we're still reading part 6. We're still at part 6. So we had stopped at... So this is where we had stopped, so I'll just read back here. Christopher and I were forced to carry the twins who were too sleepy to walk or make even an attempt. So we were at the part where the mother made them leave the house early in the night to go to their grandparents' house, and they have to be walking and going undercover, like what did I say, thieves in the night. They have to be hiding, going undercover. But as we go along through the story, we will see why all of this was done. Right, so without further ado, we go into it. Mommy, mommy, I cried out when we had moved on a few steps. The conductor forgot to give us your 2 suitcases. It's all right, Kathy, she said breathlessly, as if the 2 suitcases she was carrying were enough to tax her strength. I asked the conductor to take my 2 bags onto Charlottesville and put them in a locker for me to pick up tomorrow morning. Why would you do that? Asked Christopher in a tight voice. Well, for one thing, I certainly couldn't handle 4 suitcases, could I? And for another thing, I want the chance to talk to my father first before he learns about my children. And it just wouldn't seem right if I arrived home in the middle of the night after being gone for 15 years. Now would it? It sounded reasonable, I guess, for we did have all we could handle since the twins refused to walk. We set off tagging along behind our mother, over uneven ground, following faint paths between rocks and trees and shrubbery that clawed at our clothes. We trekked a long, 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 long way. Christopher and I became tired, irritable, as the twins grew heavier and heavier, and our arms began to ache. It was an adventure already beginning to pall. We complained, we nagged, we dragged our feet, wanting to sit down and rest. We wanted to be back in Gladstone, in our own beds, with our own things. Better than here, better than that big old house with servants and grandparents we didn't even know. Wake up the twins! Wake them up! Snapped Mummy. Snapped Mummy, grown impatient with our complaining. Stand them on their feet and force them to walk, whether or not they want to. Then she mumbled something faint into the fur collar of her jacket that just barely reached my keen ears. Lord knows they'd better walk outside while they can. That's what she whispered under her breath, the mother. A ripple of apprehension shot down my spine. I glanced at my older brother to see if he'd heard. Just as he turned his head to look at me, he smiled. I smiled in return. Tomorrow, when mommy arrived at a proper time, a taxi, she would go to the sick grandfather, and she'd smile and she'd speak and he'd be charmed, won over. Just one look at her lovely face and just one word for her soft, beautiful voice, and he'd hold out his arms and forgive her for whatever she'd done to make her fall from grace. From what she'd already told us, her father was a cantankerous old man. For 66 did seem like incredibly old age to me, and a man on the verge of death couldn't afford to hold grudges against his sole remaining child, a daughter he'd once loved very much. He'd have to forgive her so he could go blissfully into his grave and know he'd done the right thing. Then, once she had him under her spell, she'd bring us down from the bedroom and we'd be looking our best and acting our sweetest selves. And he'd soon see we weren't ugly or really bad. And nobody, absolutely nobody with a heart could resist the loving twins. Why? People in shopping centers stopped to pat the twins and compliment our mother on having such beautiful babies. And just wait until grandfather learned how smart Christopher was. A straight A student. And what was even more remarkable, he didn't have to study the way I did. Everything came so easily for him. His eyes could scan a page just once or twice, and all the information would be written indelibly on his brain, never to be forgotten. Oh, how I did envy him for that gift. I had a gift too, not the bright and shining coin that was Christopher's. It was my way to turn over all that glittered and look for the tarnish. We had gleaned but a bit of information about that unknown grandfather. But putting the pieces together, I already had the idea he was not the kind to easily forgive. Not when he could deny a once beloved daughter for 15 years. Yet, could he be so hard? He could resist all Mummy's wielding charms, which were considerably. I doubted it. I had seen and heard her wheedle with father about money matters, and always Daddy was the one to give in and be won over. She had her way. Just a kiss, a hug, a soft stroking caress, and Daddy would brighten up and smile and agree, yes. Somehow or other they could manage to pay for everything, even the excessive stuff she bought. Kathy, said Christopher, take that worried look off your face. If God didn't plan for people to grow old and sick and to eventually die, he wouldn't keep on letting people have babies. Just a second, folks. Let me just pause right here. I want to go and I made some jello and I'd put it in the freezer just to cool a bit. I'm just gonna check. I don't want it to get frozen. I want to put it in the bottom of the fridge. I'll be back shortly. So sorry about that, folks. Where were we? Let's go on. I felt Christopher staring at me, as if reading my thoughts, and I flushed. He grinned cheerfully. He was the perpetual cock-eyed optimist, never gloomy, doubtful or moody, as I often was. We followed Mummy's advice and woke up the twins. We stood them on their feet and told them they would have to make an effort to walk, tired or not. We pulled them along while they whined and complained, with sniffling sobs of rebellion. Don't want to go where we're going, sobbed a teary Carrie. Corey only wailed. Don't like walking in woods when it's dark, screamed Carrie, trying to pull her tiny hand free from mine. I'm going home. Let me go, Kathy, let me go, howled Corey even louder. I wanted to pick up Carrie. I wanted to pick Carrie up again and carry her on, but my arms were just too aching to make another effort. Then Christopher released Corey's hand and ran ahead to assist Mommy with her two heavy suitcases. So I had two unwilling, resisting twins to tug along in the darkness. The air was cool and sharply pungent. Though though Mommy called this hill country, though Mommy called this hill country, those shadowy high forms in the distance let me read that again. Though Mommy called this hill country, those shadowy high forms in the distance looked like mountains to me. I stared up at the sky. It seemed to me like an inverted deep bowl of navy blue velvet, sparkled all over with crystallized snowflakes. Instead of stars, or were they tears or ice that I was going to cry in the future? Why did they seem to be looking down at me with pity, making me feel ant-sized, overwhelmed, completely insignificant? It was too big, that close sky, too beautiful, and it filled me with a strange sense of foreboding. You know, you get that feeling like something is going to happen and you can't put your finger on it. You can't put your finger on it or, figure out what's going to be, but you just have that dread. Yeah, that's the feeling she's having. That's the feeling Kathy's having. Still, I knew that under other circumstances, I could love a countryside like this. We came at last upon a cluster of large and very filled homes nestled on a steep hillside. Slowly we approached the largest and by far the grandest of all, the sleeping mountain homes. Mummy said in a hushed voice that her ancestral home was named Foxworth Hall and was more than 200 years old. Is there a lake nearby for ice skating and swimming? Asked Christopher. He gave serious attention to the hillside. It's not good ski country. Too many trees and rocks. Yes, said Mummy. There's a small lake about a quarter of a mile away. And she pointed in the direction where a lake could be found. We circled that enormous house, almost on tiptoes. Once at the back door, an old lady let us in. She must have been waiting and seen us coming, for she opened that door so readily. We didn't even have to knock. Just like thieves in the night, remember I said they move out like thieves in the night? Just like thieves in the night, we stole silently inside. Not a word did she speak to welcome us. Could this be one of the servants? I wondered. Immediately we were inside the dark house, and she hustled us up a steep and narrow back staircase, not allowing us 1 second to pause and take a look around. And the grand rooms, not allowing us 1 second to pause and take a look around the grand rooms. We only glimpsed in our swift and mute passage. She led us down many halls, past many closed doors, and finally we came to an end room, where she swung open a door and gestured us inside. It was a relief to have our long night journey over and be in a large bedroom where a single lamp was lit. Heavy tapestried draperies covered 2 small windows. The old woman in her grey dress turned to look us over as she closed the heavy door to the hall and leaned against it. She spoke, and I was jolted. Just as you said, Corinne, your children are beautiful. So we're going to stop right there. We're going to pause right there. So suspense until we come back again and hear what this grandmother had to say to her grandchildren that she's meeting for the first time. So as Jamaicans will say, story come to bump. We will find out what happens when we come back, what the grandmother said to them on their first arrival. So that's it for now, guys. So we're still at part 6. So when we come back, we'll pick up from there. So folks, remember that I usually say, remember to like, subscribe, share. Please leave your comment. Please share this page with your friends, strangers, anyone. So thank you for joining me. Have a productive evening. Enjoy the rest of the evening. I appreciate you taking the time out to just listen to my stories and joining me here. So thank you, and and remember, you can find me on YouTube, which is Karen Vibes. So it's KarenVibes with an exclamation sign. So you can find me on YouTube, share my page. And if you haven't been following me, go on YouTube, type in Karen Vibes with the exclamation sign, and you can listen to the other books that I have read so far. So waiting to hear from you guys. Alright, so peace out. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.